I grew up in Compton, California, and
Grew up at
ended
where?
up,
You said Compton?
yeah, I was
Oh
born in
shit,
Compton.
no way, dude.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah, I was born and raised in LA. Fuck, man, I grew up poor. I didn't really have a father. I had an abusive, alcoholic father. So I used to get beat up. My mom used to get beat up. I used to watch a lot of this shit go down. But I tried moving my wife back to where I pretty much grew up at, and she's like, no, 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 no. We're not going back to that shithole.
I'm moving back to
So,
Compton.
yeah.
Did you
Well,
like it? Was
nowhere.
there aspects of growing up there that you liked? Like, why'd you want to move back there?
You know what? Like I'm just a big sports guy. I love the Dodgers. I'm a big Laker fan. Like I grew up playing sports all my life. That's what actually kept me away from a lot of the BS, kept me and my little brother away from stupid shit. I
Right,
mean, a lot of my friends were gang members, a lot of my friends were into drugs, like a lot of the bad stuff.
right.
And just because of the area, a lot of them didn't have parents and stuff like that. So
Oh,
I tried avoiding it. Me and my best friends always try to avoid it because we all like playing basketball. Like yeah, some of us knew how to tag or like to tag and stuff like that, but that didn't mean we were gang members. We just liked art.
right.
Some people didn't understand that part, and that was all part of being growing up in LA and like the culture and stuff like that. Like, bro, I grew up without a dad, but I'm still a confident human being,
Right.
and that's all because of where I grew up at, like the
Hmm.
things that I've gotten to see and the things I've gotten to experience. But my wife's all like, what do you need that for now? And I'm like, well, you're right. Like, I can cook. Like, I don't need it. LA's a melting pot. Like, if I
Yeah,
want Chinese food, I can go get Chinese. I want Thai, I can go get Thai. Like, I
totally.
can, everything you want is available right around the corner, technically.
Right, right.
So, simplicity and stuff like that. And she ended up showing me where she kind of grew up at, which was ghetto, which is in Adelanto, the high desert.
Huh.
But we ended up driving around like the nicer areas, the more retired areas and stuff like that. And to be quite honest with you, I fell in love with it because it looked like Afghanistan.
Really?
Like, dude, the mountains, like
Uh,
the sunrises and sunsets and stuff like that. Like, the most beautiful Milky Way, the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets have been in Afghanistan for me.
uh,
I've either been right by the gun, under it, freezing, waiting for that sun to come up, and be
yeah,
like, damn, dude, that's the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen. But like, at least I remember that feeling just from being cold and miserable and then seeing the beauty of it. I'm like, man, I'll never forget those days,
totally
ever.
news. Well, two things I want to say. First of all, so you tried moving your wife to Compton and then a place that reminded you of Afghanistan. Just, just I don't know if you've seen it from that perspective, but it's probably like, what the hell? No, but the other thing that makes me think of is that, and something that the military has always, just by it its nature emphasizes is that the simple things when you've been stripped from them for so long are like some of the most rewarding things. You know what I mean? Like
Basic
so.
training, piece of pizza.
Right, dude. We get to go to Taco Bell. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, it's like the best shit you could possibly like imagine doing. And I think that that there's a parallel there to you know other aspects of your life in recovery, because here's some more things we take advantage of, our hands, our limbs, our mobility, these things. And it's really easy to kind of get down on yourself, and then until you don't have those things, and then you're like, damn, dude, wiping my ass was really nice. Like, I could take care of myself like that, and I took
Yeah,
that for granted you know
absolutely. I mean, as we go on, I'll tell you something specifically to that actual thought. After I got out of recovery, I
Right.
remember seeing this guy as a vegetable. He had his whole body. He had his parents hovering over him. And I think this was like day 3 out of 2 months in ICU. So they take me out because they're like, hey, you got to start moving. You need to start, we need to move you around. We can't just have you laying in bed and not move a muscle, like not.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, I had, I think maybe like 12 drain tubes still attached to me. I had a pick line still on me, like all kinds of stuff. And they're bringing me down into occupational therapy. And I'm like, dude, I'm already complaining, like talking nonsense and yelling at people. And when I go in there, it's really quiet, and I just hear someone crying. Like I could hear them on like the corner, you know? And I see these parents hovering over their kid. I mean, he probably must have been 19, 20, bro. I got hit when I was 23, you know? So I at least got to live a little, but growing up in LA, I got to live a lot, you know?
Right,
So
right,
for me, like I've been gracefully blessed to experience a lot of life, you know? And I'll never forget, I remember looking up at my stepdad and I'm like, hey, dad, like, I promise you that I won't ever take this for granted. I promise you that I won't ever take my life. Like, I promise you that that I'm gonna do my best. You know, I don't know what that means at this time right now, but I'm just gonna do my best, you know?
right.
And I looked at him and I told him, I'm just grateful that at least I could remember your name. I could remember who I am. I could remember my brother, my sister, my best. When I woke up, my best friend and my family were right there by the door. My best friend and my family, you
Wow.
know? Yeah, so for me to be able to remember all of these people and being able to see a kid that still had all his limbs, still everything there, but nothing up here, like it just broke me, bro.
Oh,
And that instantly was what made me always promise myself, like,
right.
you know, I might go down a spiral loop. I might try to attempt something, but I won't execute it.
Right,
Does
right.
that make sense?
I'm just going to introduce my guests. So, first off, I'm Jordan Ryan, founder of Wind and Sea Coffee, and welcome to the Mind Body Mushroom, the podcast where we explore the magic of psychedelics, plant medicine, and all the ways you can naturally upgrade your health and well being. Today, I have the absolute honor of welcoming an extraordinary guest to the show, someone who exemplifies resilience, strength, and the transformative power of both the ocean and the mind. Jose Martinez is a true warrior in every sense of the word, a retired U.S. Army veteran who, after enduring life altering injuries in combat, not only survived, but is thriving. Through adaptive surfing, Jose found a profound connection to healing and purpose, channeling the power of the waves to rebuild his body and spirit. As a gold medalist in the Prone 2 division at the ISA World Parasurfing Championships and a top ranked athlete in the Association of Adaptive Surfing Professionals World Tour, Jose has proven himself a champion in every sense. His story doesn't stop there. He's also been an outspoken advocate for the therapeutic potential of psychedelics, using these tools to confront trauma, find clarity, and deepen his self discovery. Jose's story is one of overcoming unimaginable challenges, breaking boundaries as a champion adaptive surfer, and inspiring countless others to rewrite their own narratives. I'm beyond excited to dive into this journey of recovery, resilience, and the role that surfing and psychedelics have played in shaping his incredible life. Jose, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been, we talked a little bit before, and we talked, on the phone, and just hearing your story, like, I was like, hold on, dude, save it, save it, save it. Like, this is magic, and I can't wait to have you on and just telling your story and inspiring others. So, now, right before we kind of got cut off, you were telling me when you were in the hospital, but maybe let's back up a little bit. So, as I kind of mentioned in the introduction, you're a adaptive surfer, a Paralympic athlete. Do you want to talk about maybe your time in the army and then what brought you to this life-changing injury?
Yeah, absolutely. So I ended up joining the military right around the recession time, 2009, 2010. Just like everybody, I was making really, really good money. I was actually working for a staffing agency and I had about 4,500 employees under me. I was 19, 20 years old, making 75 plus a year, with bonuses and all kinds of stuff, you know. I
Shit.
coming from the ghetto, as a kid that no one thought would accomplish anything. No one realized how smart I truly was. I graduated with APN honors. I graduated with a minor in Spanish and a minor in math. But no one knew because no one ever cared to ask or anything like that. Plus, I was bald and looked like a gangster. So, you got to put on a face, you know, like that's not who I am, but
Right.
I can be that if that's what I need to be, you know.
Yeah.
So
You got to fit in, get in to fit in, you know?
exactly, you know. So I ended up when the recession came, I was part of it. I got laid off, and for a long time, or for a good minute, I was kind of lost, man. I tried going back to school, tried working again in a different environment and stuff like that. Yeah, it was good, but I wasn't happy. I felt like I wasn't helping people out the way I naturally help people, you know?
Hmm.
And during all of this time, I was drinking alcohol. I was eating Jack in the Box in the middle of the night. Like, so I was gaining weight. I was 5'9", 5'10", 220 something pounds. And the deeper I got into this depressional mind state from all of this stuff that was going on from the recession, letting go of my job and stuff like that, like I was just completely lost. So I started working out. One day I was like, man, fuck this. I'm just gonna go run. And I started running. Backtrack. I played soccer since I was 4 years old.
Okay.
So running and stuff like that and never has been a problem for me. Like I've
Right.
always been active. I've always been like on top of my stuff. But when I started working, work took over everything because at 18, I think, well, people think you have to work like a mule to make millions of dollars, where that's really not the case, you know?
Right.
So as I'm learning and I have no guidance from my parents, no guidance from nobody, to be honest with you, everybody's telling me that I'm gonna be nothing, that, you know, because I like to race cars, because I like things that are extravagant and different from what the rest of the world is, that I'm not gonna amount to anything because that's what I'm into, you know?
Hmm.
And I'm like, man, whatever. I started running. I actually ended up losing 100 pounds to the point, dude, within 3 months, people thought I was sick.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, I started running. One day I just took off and started, I went to run the Hanson Dam, which if I'm correct, it's 5 miles there and back. And I did it. I was like, man, this is pretty easy. So the next day, I went a little further and then a little further. And it got to the point where I started running 15, 20 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, and then I started running to the gym.
Uh,
So yeah, 5, 10 miles to run to the gym, work out for an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then run back because I didn't have anything better to do. I didn't have anything going on. So I figured if I can at least take care of my body, then, you know, something was going to be okay, you know?
Now, were you still
And,
working at the time? Like, were you working in at
um,
some job, or how did you kind of make that make the time all of a sudden to to focus on your
so
health more?
I was in school and construction working,
Yeah.
but construction is not every day. It's not, you know, like
Right,
it was
right.
one of those where some days, yeah, some
You got
days
a
no.
job. We don't have a job.
Yeah,
Yeah, type deal.
exactly. You know,
Where,
so stuff like
yeah.
that. So I would just make it happen.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the time, I
Uh-huh.
would make time. You
Yeah.
know, because everybody says, "Oh, I'm gonna go drink, so I don't have time to go and work out." You know,
Right,
like
right.
that
So
doesn't
true.
make sense. You know,
So
so
true.
if I knew I was gonna go and drink, I would work out 2 hours before,
Right.
you know, and then I would be okay with drinking because then I'm like, man, at least I already did my workout. I can fuck off.
Yeah,
Like
you earned
my
it.
body, yeah, you know, like
Yeah,
there's a balance there at least, you know,
totally.
there's something balancing stuff off, you
Totally.
know. So,
And did your
um,
diet change a lot? Like, were you kind of, had that component kind of been dialed in yet, or not quite?
not really, just
Yeah.
because I didn't have a job. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I could only eat eggs and hot dogs
Yeah.
would work for that week, you know.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good, dude. It sounds tasty.
You know the deal.
I
You've
do,
been there
man.
before, you know.
100%.
Fucking top ramen,
Yeah.
whatever you got to make it, you know. As long as you can survive for the next day, you'll figure it out, you
Yeah.
know. And eventually, it got to the point where one night I was just up. I had my cousin living with me at the time. He had just gotten kicked out of his house. He was going to USC. I was taking care of him, trying to
Shit.
take care of myself. Oh yeah, I would give him a call and be like, "Hey, I got $20 for us to eat for the rest of the week." He goes, "Just give me hot dogs." And I was the egg
Say
guy,
no
so I was
more,
like, "Man,
fam.
fuck it. Yeah, you know, like so." I remember one night I had National Geographics on, and I think it was like 12 or 1 o'clock at night. I had gotten into it with my girlfriend that I had at the time,
Mm,
and I had just put in my weight vest on because I was about to take off to go running.
hmm
And I look at the TV and I see Green Berets, and I'm like, oh, like, let me see what's up with this, you know? I sat down and watched the whole thing, and it was a two-part series, so I was there for 2 hours just sitting there, like at 1 in the morning, just
yeah,
eyes wide open and shit. And what caught my attention was that they weren't looking for someone that was physically capable of doing it. Green Berets were looking for someone that was mentally there and
right,
capable of fixing it here, you
right,
know? Because
right,
if you could move this, everything else follows, you know? So
totally.
for me, I was like, what the, like, damn, this might be my calling. And I tell my cousin the next day, I'm like, hey, Brian, I think I'm gonna join the military. And he goes, why? Yeah, because we, as kids, my parents are from El Salvador. His parents from El Salvador. We're all
Oh,
from
no
El
way.
Salvador. Yeah,
Yeah.
so my parents migrated over here because of the Revolutionary War that they had going on. Backstories, I've heard stories of them seeing family members hung. Military guys going into their homes, raping their mother and their sisters. Different stories like that. So for us, me saying that I'm gonna join the military, that's like a big no-no. Like that's
Oh, I see.
yeah, like
Got you.
yes,
Because their association with the government was like,
it's
oh,
don't
shady as fuck,
yeah,
and now you're
yeah,
joining that
don't
organization.
mess with it. That and I don't want you dead.
Yeah,
I
right.
know
Totally.
what war does, I know
Totally.
what war does.
Yeah.
So for them
Right.
it was like, dude, like, and I told my cousin, I'm like, hey, like, because at the time I didn't have a guidance, like I said, I didn't really have a mom, I didn't really have a dad. Like I to this day, I'm still kind of on my own trying to figure it out, Gracefully, now I have amazing friends that are a lot older, 20, 30 years older, that have been able, I look at them like that's my papa right there because he guides me, he helps me. Like when I'm in trouble physically or mentally, like I know I can pick up the phone and be like, hey, papa, this and this is going on. Like, can you give me some guidance or a tip or what would you do?
Right.
And gracefully, I've had uh, more than a handful of those people that I can trust. And gracefully, like those are the people that I put inside after all of this has happened, because I'm starting to understand that I'm not gonna make it out on my own.
Right.
This is a community thing. I gotta keep working hard, but to a certain degree, I don't have to work that hard. If someone turns around and says, hey, Jose, if you take this path, it's not going to be easy. You just have to stay consistent, but you're going to get to where you want to be at. That's all I've ever really needed. And I feel like
Right.
that's, as men, as kids, that's what we've all really needed. Just someone to kind of like look back and be like, oh, I got you, bro, stuff
Totally.
like that. So that's the person that I've always been for my brother, for my sister, for my cousin, for my best
Right.
friends, you know?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that the military is such a good, starting place for, young people to begin their life because there's a discipline aspect. There is like a respect for not just authority because I don't kind of fuck authority. It's not really that,
Yeah.
but it's respect for the prestige and the
For
sacrifice,
time, yes,
their
all of that.
time,
Yes,
how
all
many
of it.
Christmases that person missed with their kids, defending the shore. And they've done this for 10 years with your like
Exactly.
new ass coming out of boot camp or something like that. It's like, yeah, and that guy, I guarantee some chief or some like sergeant's gonna be a total dick. But it's like you learn to respect the rank, not necessarily the person, and then
Definitely. Yeah.
eventually you earn respect as a person, but the rank you respect because it's there. And like you said, just that discipline of like what I always contrast between like the military, special operations, any of these pipelines relative to like entrepreneurship is both are really fucking hard, but your path to become a Green Beret or a Navy SEAL or a Marine Recon, it's kind of like set out. You just have to show up and do it. It's gonna suck.
Exactly.
It's gonna
Yep.
suck, but like it's there, you know. And whereas entrepreneurship, it's like it's very, you know, obtuse. It's just sort of like I don't know, is it whether it's the right decisions, you know. Like
Exactly.
you said, sometimes working super hard doesn't necessarily correlate to success, but it does in the military. So yeah, that's I could see how that it provided a little bit of that structure that you were missing and looking
Oh,
for.
absolutely. You know, I went right in and I remember like going up to them and they're like, "What makes you think that you're ready?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, you want to get down and do push-ups with me? You want to do sit-ups or what is it? I probably bench press more than you can right now." And they just looked at me and they're like, "What the fuck? Like, we've never had this kind of dude come into us." I was like, "I ain't no punk bitch either. I'm not 18 years old, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
right,
already a grown-ass man. Like,
right,
oh, not only that, I've been fucking a grown-ass man since I was 5 years fucking old
yeah,
because I've had to take care of my little brother. You know, at the age of 9, I had to take care of my little sister on top of that, you
yeah,
know? Oh, and I had my cousins that I had to take care of as well. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I've always been the top dog in my life.
right.
And I went into basic training, ended up losing like 10 pounds of muscle. I was
Yeah,
depleted.
I
You know,
hated that. Yeah,
every single time I was in the chow
worst.
hall, I was just like
Yeah,
as fast as possible. I could not have enough in me. Like
yeah,
I didn't fucking get it, you know? And
right.
then I ended up coming out, went into my unit, went into Fort Lewis
Were you in
and watched.
infantry? Was that
Yeah,
your
11 Bravo.
11 Bravo?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Dope. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so ended up I remember basic training, they offered me jump school, they offered me assault school, they offered me all kinds of shit, but because I was mentally somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
I I didn't think that I was worthy of living here, brother. I before I even joined the military, I was struggling with my own self of even I was selfish. I was an asshole. You know, I've done a lot of stupid shit, race cars, crash cars, like all kinds of dumb shit that you as a parent would be like, what the fuck, dude? You know, like and some other shit that I can't even say out here, you know.
Right, right.
But like this whole time, all I wanted to ever feel and have others realize is that another human as well. I'm just as smart. Like I was tired of people treating me like I was a fucking child when I was smarter than them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to be a jerk, but I'm a lot smarter than my mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I've gone to school. It's just that's who I really am. I'm just a smart human being, period. You know?
So what was kind of your main motivation then, I guess, for joining? Was it like, you know, was it structure? Was it money? Was it adventure? Was it, you know, I don't what were
I
you looking
I
for?
guess now that I sit back and look at it, I
Yeah.
think it was everything. It was the
Yeah.
fact that I would be getting paid without having to pay rent
Yeah.
because I know that they were gonna have a place where I could sleep at. I didn't have to worry about that shit anymore. So guess what? I can stack a little bit of extra money for my brother so he can finish playing high school basketball. You know, give him some shoes, give him shit like that. Um, adventure. Fuck, I've never left really California, you know? So for
Mm-hmm.
me to be able to fucking just grab my shit, like, what was it, a pair of shoes and like 3 shirts that we took with us,
Uh,
you know? Like, you didn't have much. So for me, it was definitely an adventure, but more than anything, I was tired of being an asshole. I was tired of being selfish. I was tired of feeling like it was just me, and only me before someone else took what I thought
mm-hmm.
was just for me. You know, now that I'm older and I've done psychedelics and I've done a lot of things, I'm realizing that God has put an abundance for me that you can't touch, but He's put an abundance for you that I can't touch. And that abundance is endless. We just have to be able to see it, you know? But at the time when I was a kid, when I was fighting for my life, when I was trying to stay alive in LA, when gang members would come up to me and say, "Where the fuck are you from?" Like, guess what? I had to toughen up, stick my
Right.
chest out and be like, "Fuck you, like, let's go at it," you know?
Totally.
Because it's a dog eat dog world there.
Right.
you know?
It's really hard. Growing up in poverty, which I grew up in poverty as well. I met my dad when I was 13. I wasn't in Compton. I didn't have like a crazy childhood, but I had, but when you this scarcity mindset is so prevalent when it feels like you have to fight for survival, where everything is like dog eat dog, cutthroat. If I'm going to get mine, that means I'm getting it from somebody else. So you know what I mean? That mindset gets ingrained, and it creates that, like, you know um
Tension, you know.
tension, a little bit of selfishness.
Oh,
Like it's that survival instinct.
big-headedness, you know,
Totally,
like,
totally.
and to me, to be quite honest with you, I was lost, bro. I couldn't even take pictures. I couldn't look at myself because I didn't see
Mm,
the Jose that I've always loved and known.
mm,
Even though I've gone through some trauma, some turmoil, I never changed all up until I got older enough to start making my own decisions. And that's when I realized that I was just doing it based off of my environment,
right.
you know? And fuck that shit. Like I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of having to be bald because I have to look this way so people could be scared of me. You know, like that stupid things to think
Stock
of. But
check.
yeah, yeah, exactly, you know. But this is the type of mentality you have to survive in this
Yep.
kind of world, you know,
Right.
especially in the world that I was growing up in. So when I got to my my unit, bro, I my platoon sergeant would be like, "Yo, go and grab the sergeants." I'd be like, "Platoon sergeant, um, I just want to let you know that I don't have that rank to tell them what and he's like, I don't give a fuck what the fuck they're gonna tell you. You tell them that they need to fucking get their ass here, blah blah blah.
Mm,
And I would get to them and be like, hey sergeant, and they'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Push a position. I'd be like, all right, fuck, all right, here you go. Start pumping, you know. But they never mistreated me. They never smoked me because I was just a dumbass.
right.
Because I would get smoked when I make stupid decisions.
Yeah.
That's totally different than being a
Right.
dumbass, you know?
For sure.
One, you know what the fuck you're doing, and the other one, you just have no fucking thought process to it. So they
Yeah.
understand that if you don't know, then you don't know. But if you know and you still go for it, then you need to get smoked,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Right. You
So
got to pay the man.
yeah, so they would always teach me like, look, I'm gonna treat you as a man as long as you show me you're a man. I'll treat you as a kid when you show me you want to be a kid. You know,
Right.
sometimes I would walk into the fucking into the office and I would see people mopping. Oh shit! Turn right back around because I already knew like if I stay here, my big ass mouth is gonna
Yeah.
have my ass right there.
You're
You
done.
know.
Cut.
So and that's the one thing that I started loving more and more. So I gave more and more of myself to my unit,
Mm,
to my people, to my friends, you know,
mm,
to my guys, to the point where scouts would put on fucking competitions and shit like that. Scouts couldn't take us out. We're the
mm,
best, bro. We're the
mm.
best fucking unit that we had. We're the best infantry unit. We were unstoppable.
And how long were you
Unstoppable.
in the army? How many years total?
I was cut short, 3.5.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
you
I
you
I
deployed.
wanted, yeah, I
That's
deployed.
obviously.
I ended up deploying into Kandahar, Afghanistan in 2000. We left in 2011, got there. I think we are celebrating Thanksgiving there already. Yeah, if I'm correct, like it was. So I just my plan was to go to Afghanistan, try to get my Green Beret contract because
Yeah.
I knew that would be one place
Yeah.
that I can show
Totally.
this mental strength, you know, more than anything. And I got to do like one or two missions with them when I first
Yeah.
got there.
Sick.
Yeah, like, and we got gifted a Mach 48, which
Oh
is
no.
a 7.62. So it's the size of a saw, but
Yeah.
it shoots 7.62 rounds.
Oh
I got
shoot.
that gifted. Yeah, it was dope, bro. It was the dopest
Sick,
gun
dude.
ever.
That's
Yeah, they're
awesome.
like, hey, we're about to go home. You guys might need this. And they ended up gifting it to me. It was awesome.
That's.
But
Do you think you would have stayed in for a long time? Like, were you
30
loving the
years,
army? You
30
would have
years,
done. Yeah, you would have done
30, yeah.
full thing.
Just because, I
And
mean, I was waking up in the morning, before we took off to Afghanistan, I was waking up and running 10 miles with 50 pounds, 40 pounds.
Wow.
I knew we were going to go and die. I knew that if I had a chance to save somebody, that I needed to be at my top shape, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And even though I was drinking, even though like it didn't matter, I had a routine, and that was the routine every single day of my life when I
Yeah.
was in the military, even to the point where my guys would be like, "Where's Martinez at?" I was like, "I don't know, I haven't seen him." They're like, "Oh, go check the gym. He's probably in there right now." That's where I was always at. So
Yeah.
I would never really get in trouble. Like I
Right.
remember
Right.
one time my squad leaders were like, "Yo, get lost. You just need to get the fuck lost." I was like, "All right, cool." I
Uh,
went into my room and got lost for hours, and they're like, "We've been looking for you. What the fuck?" I was
I
like,
was
"You
lost.
told me to get lost." Like,
I
he
couldn't
goes, "Where
find
were
myself.
you?" Yeah. I was like, he's like, "Why are you so sweaty?" I was like, "I just started doing like lunges in my room and shit because I was just bored."
Uh-huh.
And he started laughing. He goes, "Fuck, I can't even smoke you because you're too good." Like,
Yeah.
stuff
Well,
like
dude,
that. So,
that's another thing that's kind of resonates with my own sort of like recovery journey, and something that was kind of instilled through military stuff is that like how important physical fitness is, and it obviously serves a very practical purpose. While you're in the military, you need to be able to carry shit and run and do all whatever, but I've also found that, like, just as an ethos, like a personal ethos, dude, when there's chaos going around in your life and your shit is falling apart and you don't know what to do sometimes and decisions are hard, just go sweat. It's like the one thing that you can do. You know how to fucking do it. Your body is built to do it. And it's if it's good, like it's leveling you up or it's keeping you grounded in some way that like is preparing you for the
yeah,
chaos that you yeah, exactly,
exactly.
exactly, dude.
That struggle, if you struggle, I tell people, if you struggle here when you're practicing, understand that when it's actually time to put it in play, you're never going to struggle because everything's going to slow down and you're going to be able to make the proper decisions that you need to make.
Right.
That will always be with consistency. That's something the military taught us. You
Yeah.
consistently keep working, little by little. You just need 10% increments, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Eventually you're going to get to where you want to be at. And it's
Oh,
something that we've all seen. The structure that the military has given us is that the consistency of knowing that we might fail a little bit, but we're never going to lose the war. We will
yeah.
never lose the war.
Right.
Might
Right.
lose a
Right.
battle here, might lose a battle there, but the war will never ever be lost,
Right.
and it's
It's
because of the consistency,
for
all of that.
sure. For sure.
My
There's
best friend,
another. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You go. Good.
my best friend was struggling really, really bad last year.
In the military?
And
Was he in with
no, no,
you?
no, no
No
military
military.
background,
Yeah.
nothing. Just a regular person grew up with me in the ghetto, literally a block away from where I grew up at. And we all grew up together playing basketball, racing cars. To this day, that's still my best friend. He ended up coming to my house here in the desert, and he already knows this is a sacred place. This is where we come and recover, come to heal.
Mhm.
We don't come to leave bullshit here at my house. This is a temple. Okay,
Yeah.
you come to feel better energy, to let go of all that negativity, but we let it go outside, not in the
Mhm.
house, because all of that stays in here. So
Right.
we do it outside, and I ended up taking him to the gym with me. And again, same age, we grew up together, we've gone to school together. We're literally almost the same height. We look like
Huh.
everybody would think that we're brothers. Put it
Yeah.
that like that's how close we are.
Right.
And I'm at the gym and I'm like, all right, this is what you're gonna do because he's not one to go to the gym. To him, he'd rather go and play ball because he's still moving.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
And I start cranking. And by the time we're done, it's like hour and a half after, almost 2 hours. And he goes, "Hey, bro." Because I just want to let you know that I could never imagine that you could crank way more than I can. You could
Uh-huh.
lift way more than I can. And he goes, and I realized why you love this shit. It's
Mm.
because you don't struggle out in the world. You struggle here, you
Mhm.
know, and that helps you out there. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me a better decision maker. It makes me understand. It makes me be a little bit more peaceful and more calm. because I don't have an aggression in me. I already took out all the
Yeah.
aggression that I need to take out, you know?
Right.
And if
Right.
I have more energy and I want to take out aggression, get my ass back over there and go fucking cardio, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if you
Right.
really have that much, do cardio
Right.
for an
You ain't
hour.
tired enough.
Yeah, you know, that's how I treat myself.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm being judgmental or if I'm being stupid or honking or impatient,
Yeah.
I go and do cardio for an hour
Yeah.
because I know that that's energy that I just need to let go of, you know?
Right.
Because if I don't let go of here, then I won't let it go anywhere else. So guess
Totally.
what? It has to get out here,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
So
So
take me back to Afghanistan. So you're out there, you deployed, and this was, I guess, obviously probably your first deployment, or yeah,
first deployment,
yeah,
2011, where I'll actually tell you the date when all of this happened. It's 2012, March 3rd of 2012. We're actually out on a mission
yeah,
and we're coming back from that mission. We've been out for the last 2.5, almost 3 weeks. Our guys, yeah, our builders were creating this cop that they couldn't finish up because I think we had a bunch of mud. We had a rain coming down, and we are the
huh.
only idiots that were able to make it out, go and save them, get them out. And
Mm,
then they're like, well, now that you
thanks,
know
you're
what's
there.
happened, yeah, stay there,
Stay
you
there.
know? So, and the mission was this cop was built there because they kept building a lot of, they kept putting a lot of IEDs on the
Mm,
roads that we were taking. So they figured if they put the cop where around most of the IEDs, people would be able to have eyes on and take out the danger, you
yeah,
know?
right, right.
So we finished with the cop, fucking put up the Heskel walls, did all that shit, and ended up taking out. We ended up leaving and on our route out, was it our point, our point vehicle, our first vehicle that we had, actually ended up, no, I lied to you. Our third vehicle. I was in the second. We had a point vehicle. I was in the second with our commander, and then my platoon sergeant was in the third vehicle.
Mm,
Someone over the radio said, "Don't go through the mud, go through the solid part."
mm.
And all of us instantly did the no!
Oh shit.
Because guess what? We all know that the solid part is where the bomb's at, and the fucking
Mm,
mud is where they want you to go through because common sense tells you to go through flat
yeah,
places, you
right,
know?
right, right.
Dude, I've never seen an MRAP. We've already been there for 4 months. I've never seen an MRAP go, whew,
Oh
pop,
shit.
right onto its back, bro. My platoon sergeant,
And this was the
our
point vehicle. This is the point
this is vehicle number 3.
vehicle number three.
I'm
So
in,
one
yeah.
goes, two goes, three
Yeah,
hits
the
it.
third one got
Yeah,
told to not go through the mud, to go through the solid
got
part.
you. So
And
they
all
veered off of to where you guys are falling.
exactly, you know,
Got you.
and instantly all you hear is
Um,
I'm in the fucking turret and I know who's in there. It's my fucking platoon sergeant, which is also one of my best friends.
uh,
My medic is in there, which is also my best friend.
yeah,
My driver's in there, which is also my best friend. Like, I sleep with these guys. These guys are with me 24 fucking 7, you know?
yeah.
It's Harris, it's Ski, and it's 10 in there. I, I literally jump off the fucking turret, start
Mhm.
running to go and grab these guys. And we open I don't know how I open the door. You know how heavy those doors are.
Yeah,
I
right.
go and pull the shit out of it.
Uh,
And when I'm pulling, my squad leader's already behind me, like, all right, Martinez, let's fucking go. You know? So I pull it out, and the first thing we see is a punch coming out. I'm like,
oh
shit, Jimmy.
shit.
Yeah, I was like, Jimmy, it's me, you know? Sergeant Harris, it's me, you know? He's like, fuck you guys. Like, he's
Yeah,
all
that's
swinging and
fucking
shit.
good.
We're like,
Yeah.
fuck, dude. Like, and Zach and him are best friends, which is my squad leader right behind me. So Zach grabs him and he goes, Jimmy, it's me. And he fucking sees him because Zach's a big dude. And Jimmy looks up. He's like, oh shit, it's Harris. I was like, we're like, all right, cool. We fucking go, and I see my medic. My medic is down, fucking puking and bleeding at the same
Uh,
time from his head, you know? My driver, the same exact thing, but no one's missing limbs or anything
uh,
like that.
Were you guys
Yeah,
all in AMRAPs? Is that kind of why? Because there was a little bit of
yeah.
mine resistance to it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I feel like if we weren't on those MRAPs, we would
yeah.
have been
If you're in a
toast, you know?
Humvee or something
Oh,
like that, or
bro,
yeah,
it would have been done. That Humvee would have gone 100 feet instead of 10 feet, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because those
right,
MRAPs are so heavy, you
right.
know? So we ended up using the medic bag and everything that we fucking had to take care of them. We called it in, waited for choppers to come in and pick everybody up. Had to wait there for everybody to pick up the MRAP after that, you know? We started heading back to our cop, our original cop that we've been at this whole time. And when we get there, they're like, "Hey, we need QRF." I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck? We were just out. Like,
Oh wow,
this
so you
isn't our
guys
team
need
anymore."
QRF.
Yeah,
You
well, it should have been another team, like
yeah,
that should have gone out, you know. And they're
right.
like, "No, no, no, no. We need you two guys to go out." We're like, "What the fuck? We just got back here, you know." And half of the other team that was going out, I'm friends with all of them. The squad leaders are my boys. Like I'm everybody. So my squad leader that was with me helping grabbing all these dudes, he comes up to me because he's my best friend. We're best friends to this day. Sergeant Names is me and Sergeant Names are together 24/7. If you ever see us hunting, we're together hunting. We're doing. His daughters are my goddaughters. They're my family. They're my babies. You know, that's how close we are. And um, Sergeant Names comes up to me and goes, "Hey." He goes, "You want to do me this big favor and just go out with the boys real quick? I just need you to fucking handle the machine gun." And I'm like, "That's all I'm doing?" And they're like, "Oh, by the way, someone was digging there last night, so just be careful." I'm like, "Oh, fuck. All right." And then they're like, "We're giving you guys EOD." Okay, cool. Well, at least that helps, you know?
Hmm.
So, and the worst part is we're literally just going out one click out of our cop. One
Man,
click out of our cop. Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
that close outside of where
Oh,
you
we
like
were,
the
oh, bro,
wire is
if it wasn't on the south side, it was on the east side.
deep
Like, it, we were getting hit from three different directions on a daily basis.
mortars and shit. Were they like
Anything. It
yeah,
could have
I
been a
mean, small
PKM. It
arms,
could be a
PKM, yeah,
motor. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, PKMs were the ones that were really fucking us up because those fuckers go
Really?
through everything. Yeah, because they could go
Yeah.
through the Haskell walls. You know, they have enough
Mhm.
impact, especially if they're
Yeah.
close. Yeah,
Right.
so
Right. Right.
those were I think a PKM. The first day that we were landing, one of the other platoon sergeants was
Uh-huh.
holding on to the chopper and
Uh-huh.
a round just came right into his hand. Yeah, this was his fourth Purple Heart. This is the first
Oh
day
my
we were
God,
Yeah,
bro.
this was the first day we were landing in that cop that I'm telling you about that we're in right now. You know, that was the first day and we're like, "Sergeant White Bull, peace out. You're not coming with us." And we gave him a shove, and he's like, "Fuck you!" Started screaming at everybody and shit, because
Oh my.
that was number four already for him. And he
Yeah.
had just had a kid. So for us, we're like, "Dude, go home, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Right.
deserve it, Sergeant White Bull. Like, you need to go home, my dude, you know?" But, ended up going out one click, took EOD out with us, and we ended up at a wadi line. There was two wadi lines actually. The first wadi line, EOD comes up to it and they're
That's kind
scanning
of
it.
like a river, like a what? Explain to everyone what a wadi
Yeah,
line.
so a wadi line is pretty much where water runs through, but it creates like this big mound. So it can be anywhere from 4 feet all the way to 15 feet that you're going to be
Mm.
climbing up. And
Like a
all it does
dune,
is
kind of becomes like a dune, sort of a little
Yeah,
bit.
almost,
Yeah.
and the reason it's called a wadi line is because literally water during
Uh-huh.
a certain time, it's kind of like agriculture waste. The water just runs all the way across the other side of the world in a sense, and
Right.
that's how they farm their stuff. They
Mm.
open up one big spigot and then everything starts farming through for everybody.
Wow.
And it's tunneled through that way. It's
Sure.
pretty
Sure.
awesome to be honest with you. But they check the first wadi line, and when we get up there, EODs are like, "Yo, everything's clear. There's nothing going on." They took out the little robots to make sure that there's no wires, no anything, pressure plates or whatnot. And when we were up at that wadi line, because it was a bit high, we were pretty much in front of a wall that's been shooting at us this whole time. Every single time we've been there and we've been going out, that wall specifically has been shooting at us. And we were at this wadi line and we were literally like, we could see where they would be able to pull up and just crack us right in the head,
Oh shit.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm looking around, like, "Yo, y'all don't want to move from here. Like, we need to get the fuck out of here, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Right.
And my squad leaders were like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's get the fuck out of here. So we start moving around and we go on to the next squatty line. And on that next squatty line, it was a little bit shorter, but a little wider. So it took us a little longer to get up there.
Uh-huh.
When we got up there, I instantly took a knee. I had 1,000 rounds on my back and 1,000 rounds on my pack.
Oh shit.
So I was automatically weighing 75 pounds over everybody else. Some roughly, give or take, with the gun. Yeah, about 75. And I instantly took a knee. I was like, man, fuck, dude, I'm fucking heavy,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
I'm on the knee and I have my point man with me because I'm technically I'm the point man. I know where to move, I know where we're going, and I know what we're trying to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm moving my point man. I'm like, hey, I need to go and fucking like swing around, make sure that all of us when we get up here we fit, you know?
Yeah.
And
Right.
he starts walking to my north position, to my left. I'm looking straight to the east.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he started walking north, and all I remember is dust cloud just take off. And I hear this groan out of nowhere. I'm like, fuck, dude, what the fuck just happened? Like I couldn't comprehend what was going on because of how much dust was going like all over the place, you know? So I
Wow.
thought a dust storm came in or some shit like that, and someone got like tripped and fell or something stupid.
Right, right, right.
And when the dust settled, I realized I'm like, oh shit, my fucking point man's down. Like, I
Wow.
need to fucking go and grab him. I look back, I look at my squad leaders because they're still on the other side, and they just shake their head like, you know what's up, like you know what to do to handle
Yeah.
it, you know.
Right.
I got up, grabbed my gun, grabbed my pack, put it back on me, and I turned to him. And this is, I clearly will always remember this. I will remember looking down and seeing his steps clearly.
Uh-huh.
I can clearly see his boot steps, you know, and I take the first step and I'm like, ah, like, fuck, here it is. I take it, I was like, all right, cool. Nothing. Second step, I'm like, ah. All right. After the third step, I was like, man, fuck this. I took the sixth step. I literally remember taking a right boot step onto his right boot print and poof, I
Wow.
hit the primary IED. He stepped on the secondary IED, which is a toe popper. I ended up igniting 60 pounds of an IED, but it was actually after we came back to the United States and all of us got back together and started talking of everything that happened.
Yeah.
My squad leader that was with me, he told me, he goes, you probably saved everybody's life that day because
Wow.
that 60 pounds was daisy chained to almost 1,000 pounds, and
Oh,
only the 60 pounds went off.
wow. And so the secondary was that blast a little
That
smaller?
that was just the toe popper. All my
Yeah.
point man did was snap his ankle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I ended up flying 10 feet up in the air, landing head first.
Ugh.
I remember my boys jumping on top of me, instantly put on tourniquet. Um, on my right arm, my arm was snapped, but still attached by a little bit of skin, and they popped me right back up. Yeah, right up here, fucking put the tourniquet on.
Yeah.
My left leg, um, it was still attached a bit below the knee, but just the same way, just hanging with a little bit of skin. And on my right leg, it was just completely obliterated. The bones were,
Wow.
from the way my best friend describes it, because my best friend had to sign to remove entirely my fibula. He says that I had about that much of a fibula, but it was all opened up. All the bones were like scrapped up and shattered and stuff.
So on your right leg, you still had your femur coming down like your thigh.
Just about
It's
that much. Yeah.
okay. And then
Yeah.
below the knee was where your right leg had
Shattered, split up and
shattered.
stuff.
You had the
Yeah,
short, like a couple inches of tibia left
exactly.
down there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they closed everything up
Yeah.
and I'm talking shit to them. I'm pushing
Wow.
Sergeant. I'm pushing Sturdivant. I'm fuck you. Fucking I grabbed Jesse's gun, put it to my head. I was like, pull the fucking trigger, Jesse. Like tell my
Wow.
mom I was a fucking hero. We're not doing this shit. Like I
Wow.
told y'all, we were in the circle before we all left and deployed, and we're all talking about if we were missing this, just let me out there and die. You know, and I told them, I was like, remember, I like to run.
I
Fuck you
wasn't
guys.
kidding.
I told you, leave me here.
You
You
promised.
know, like just, and all I remember is Powers grabbing me, pulling me up and saying, shut the fuck up, Martinez,
Yeah.
slapping me. And he goes, we're going to be drinking beers in 2 fucking weeks. I just need you to shut the fuck up. And I'm like, Powers, everything fucking hurts. Like, and they opened up the medic bag. The medic bag that we took was the same medic bag we had literally just used hours before. So I was sitting there in fucking pain. That's why I told him, I was like, look, we're not doing this. Fucking grabbed the gun and
Yeah.
put it onto my head. But as we were bullshitting and doing this whole nonsense, I'm taking in the deep breath, but I'm not realizing that I can't decompress.
What do you
I
mean?
have, so I'm able to take a deep breath in,
Yeah.
but it's not allowing me to push out the air.
So you like
My
couldn't exhale? Is that kind of what you're
Yeah,
saying? Like a
in
little
a
bit?
sense.
Like it was,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could not exhale.
struggling.
And I don't know why. I don't know if it had something to do with my lungs collapsing, but
Uh,
I was only able to take in the breath and I felt like a balloon.
oh, right.
That the more I was breathing, the more I was getting choked up and getting ready to explode.
Oh my
And
God.
I grabbed Sturtevant and I'm like, Sturtevant, I fucking can't breathe, bro. Like I can't. He goes, I can see you taking in air. He's like, I can't let it out.
Uh,
And that's when my buddy Hector, that's his last name. um, you've ever watched Black Hawk Down?
yeah, yeah, of course. You have
Do
to
you
do
remember the part
a
where
needle
he's on the
feed.
table? No, do you remember when he's on the table and they're trying to get the artery
Oh
and the
yeah,
artery
yeah.
slips?
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay,
That's the scene. Yeah.
Hector found that fucking artery because they
Oh,
realized
your
that I was
brachial.
open. Yeah, I
Right.
was open from here all the way down to my asshole. I was literally opened up all through. I have a whole scar that goes all the
Oh
way.
wow.
Yeah, I was opened up like a book, bro. Like a
So
fucking book.
wow, that's wild. All right, let me back up a little bit because I want to walk through this injury. So, were you fairly lucid and conscious the entire
Fully
time? Because
conscious.
you
Fully
remember
conscious.
going, never got
Pain,
knocked out.
everything.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's
everything.
the worst.
Everything, everything.
Jesus.
Everything, everything.
So when you're opened up like a book, what's going on? Like what's physically happening? Were your ribs kind of broken? Was there
Ev-
stuff going on internally?
so I had a little bit of broken ribs. I actually have like somewhere around 15 to 20% of my intestines kind of like missing and all beat up out there after
Uh-huh.
everything that I know. And but during this time that these guys were, I'm yelling at them, telling them that I can't fucking like exhale, you
Exhale.
know, Hector sees this fucking line just squirting out. And the minute he grabs it, that's when I go ape shit. And I'm like, oh no! It was the worst pain ever. And I
Really?
start cringing, yeah, to the point where I'm about to like punch him.
Yeah, yeah,
And
sucker.
Sturdivant goes, hold it, hold it, hold it. Sturdivant pinched it. Sturdivant was our medic at the time. He
Uh-huh.
got the highest award as a
Wow.
medic, as a combat medic, because he saved me.
Dude,
Bro,
that's amazing. And what he was a
doctor,
like a something whiskey or whatever, what's the army
yeah, I'm not sure
I
what
forget
the
what their
proper
names, but he wasn't
number.
like an
Yeah,
18 Delta.
no,
He was just
he was just a medic, literally
that's
medic
great.
attached to our infantry
Wow.
unit. Yeah, but
It's a huge
Sturdivant's a
responsibility.
fucking beast. He's a
Yeah.
fucking beast, bro. You know,
Wow.
and he
Wow.
literally fucking told Hector, he goes, "Hold that shit." Fucking held it, pinched it, and then that's when he started fixing me for the breathing part. So he actually hit me with the nasopharyngeal to
Uh-huh.
see if I can actually exhale, and I'm like, "Nah, dude." And Sturdivant looked at me and he goes, Jose, you already know what's fucking next, bro. I was like, nah, don't fucking tell me the collarbone. And there's the slot, the third bone down from the collarbone that actually attaches to your lungs. He
Uh-huh.
popped me right in, and the minute he popped me, I just did the,
Yeah. That's what I was
and I'm like,
wondering.
oh, that's what I did like, that's when I started talking more shit now because I was able to actually talk more now, And, I just remember like fucking finally, like, as much as I wanted to die, I know I didn't want to die because I still wanted that exhale. I still
Mhm,
wanted to breathe. I still wanted to, be there.
mhm,
Like,
mhm, mhm.
they ended up calling the 9 line. Before we actually went out, they told us that we had black air. It was horrible. It was windstorms, all kinds of shit.
Oh,
And yeah, our angels in the skies heard our chat because my squad leaders were cussing out fucking everybody up and in the radio you can't
right,
cuss,
right,
you
right.
cannot get
Call
out of
them.
order, Yeah.
Totally.
My boys were like, "Fuck you guys, Martinez is gonna die on the way," because they were having them drive me to
Oh
Passau.
my God.
Oh, bro, we would have gotten shot on the way there. Probably hit a
Yeah,
couple
hide
of
another
IEDs.
IEDs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like my boys were like, he's never gonna fucking make it. Um,
So these like medevac choppers that are coming in, are
no,
they?
it
Oh,
was it was fucking special forces. It was not
oh, what?
medevac choppers.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
special forces ended up
Yeah.
fucking coming into our chatter and they're like, "Hey, Pop Smoke, we're fucking right here. We're gonna pick him up. My boy's gonna live." Like, and I had the radio attached to me. I could hear all this shit, and I'm like, "Yeah, Pop Smoke,
Yeah,
Pop
yeah, yeah. Good
Smoke, he's gonna
idea.
fucking
Yeah, yeah.
get here,"
What he said. What he said.
Yeah, you know.
And so how'd they come get you? Were
They
they?
just
Were they
they
the
fucking
girls?
brought. They didn't care, bro. My Sergeant Ames said that it was the most handsomest, rugged looking guy. He was holding on to the chopper. He goes, "Where is he?" We were like, "Over there." He'll
Yeah,
always say that. He said it was just this big giant dude with a big old
yeah,
beard, glasses
yeah.
on, looking cool as fuck. And
Yeah.
those are
Right,
angels, Those are
right.
our angels. And they ended up fucking grabbing me. They actually had an arrest in the chopper. And all I
Oh, really?
remember is, yeah, I remember saying this,
For
throw that
coding.
fool out of the fucking chopper. He doesn't deserve to be in this place right
No,
now.
yeah, shit.
They
Oh my
put,
God.
so I know I ended up dying 3 times because my point man was in the chopper with us. And he
Hmm.
said that he saw me get up, ask for meds, then tell me that they didn't have anything, and me instantly pass out. And they would hear me go flatline. Yeah, my boys are like, dude, I am forever fucking like astonished how many times you came out of it, still
Yeah.
talk shit, and still fucking went back down and woke back up again.
Dude,
I
that's
remember landing, and I remember this is the last thing I remember. I remember them putting me on the roller stretcher, taking me in through the two white doors for medics at Fort Passab. And I remember the first person being there was my platoon sergeant, Sergeant Harris, that had just gotten hit a couple hours before me because they were doing testing for him and all of that. He pulled down the sheet that was over my head, and all I remember is him saying, "I'm sorry, Marty. I should have been there with you." And he was crying. All the last thing I felt was his tears rolling down my cheek.
mm,
That is the last thing I will forever remember
mm.
before I passed out. And then I woke up 10 days later, stateside in Walter Reed, Bethesda.
Wow, dude. That's incredible. What a you get survivor's guilt and all of the like what is my life going to be like going forward? How I could only imagine. So let's take me to kind of I'm sure there's like a long period of recovery, but I'm really want to kind of zero in on how psychedelics like became an integrated part of your recovery and your therapy. So you want to take me to like that little time frame of this whole thing? So
Yeah,
I'm assuming
absolutely.
you're fucked up, getting like VA better, and then or
Well,
walk me
I'll
through
tell
it.
you the story. So
Yeah.
I actually started walking. Yeah, literally, I'm the first triple amputee, hip disarticulate, able to walk in the world.
Oh
Triple
wow.
amputee. Yeah, I'm the first one in the world to be able to do it. I'm missing all the way to my hip on my right side. I have to put a
Okay.
bucket as a prosthetic, and I'm the
But you
only
wear
one.
prosthetics? Are you
Yeah,
able
I
to like
could. Yeah,
cruise
when I
around? That's
travel
dope.
and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
don't, I don't like people. I don't like those old people taking me on the like. I feel like I should be pushing those old people on
I know,
you
right?
know, so
The wheelchair,
because
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
I can't do that shit, so I take
yeah.
care of me, you know, and within 6 months I was already standing up and walking.
Wow.
Um, with I left, I got kicked out of the army medically January 7th of 2014. 3 months before that, I had already kicked out all of my pills that I was taking because I was already going through depression, suicide. Like it was already hitting me. One time I took a bottle of 50 count of Oxy,
Oh my God.
and I didn't wake up until like a week and a half later,
Oh,
from what I recall.
yeah.
You know, like and they didn't pump me. It was just I woke up.
Jesus. That's crazy. And you're still
You know,
in at this time. Are you still in the military, or like being? Or this is our? They've already separated you.
separation, and
Yeah.
I'm already like figuring out that medicine that they're giving me is not gonna be for me.
Right.
I've never had suicidal thoughts. I've always questioned my existence here in the world, but
Yeah.
never like, oh, I'm gonna take myself out.
Right.
All up until that point, I was
Right.
on Lyricas, which is a nerve blocker, and that motherfucker will have me thinking some crazy thoughts, but not
Mm,
only that, would have me feeling numb all day long. So
mm,
I wasn't feeling, it was like if I was drunk 24/7, you know? And when I realized this shit, I was like, nah, fuck this. I kicked it cold turkey within 2 weeks. I was taking nothing, not even steroid. I'm supposed to be on steroids because
yeah.
I don't have any testosterone running through my body.
Hmm.
I don't even do that.
Wow. That's
Oh yeah,
awesome.
and I'm at the gym for 3 hours plus,
Yeah, I
like
know. That's fucking nuts. That's
you know. But understanding this, and I remember going up to the doctor because I wanted to get off on Lyrica, and I
yeah.
remember asking them, I'm like, hey, how do I get off of this? And they're like, we have to increase your dosage before we decrease. And I
Real.
looked at her and I'm like, you fucking dumb bitch. So you're telling me you're gonna give more crack to a crackhead before you
Yep.
take him off the crack?
Right.
That makes no sense to me, you know? So
Right.
that's
Right.
when I started taking my own decision and I kicked the cold turkey. So
Yeah.
even before I left the military, I was already out for pills and stuff like that. Like, and because I had already separated, guess what? I don't have to drug test anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because I grew up in California and I grew up around cannabis,
Straight organics.
all the way, baby. You know? So I started smoking, I started intaking it by eating it. I started really doing it in a medicinal form,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And all up until about 7 years ago, it was perfect. Everything was just peachy. And then I crashed and burned again. And this time, it wasn't my body anymore. It was my mind.
Mm.
My mind was starting to play with me now. Survivor's guilt,
Hmm.
the shit that I've seen from a little kid and all of the stuff that I've gone through, you know, everything just in general is now hitting me because through all of this, I ended up in a wheelchair, and that hurts, you
Hmm.
know, like from a person that hasn't really had much but has had a lot. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've had it all, bro. I can't complain. I've been able to use my legs to an extreme. I used to ride around with Rough Riders and G Riders, the motorcycle clubs. I used
Yeah.
to do in those stoppies, wheelies. I used to race
Yeah.
cars for a living. Like I enjoyed my lifetime all up until
Like,
I didn't have legs, you know?
well,
So
that was one thing I got kind of cut off on our on the first part, but just in case it doesn't make it in, I want to reiterate it here, dude. And so what you said when we first started this conversation, you were talking about how you loved the sunrise in Afghanistan, you know, and it was like simple things like that. You know, you're out there freezing your ass all night, you know, out in like a foxhole, and then the sun comes up, and so it's like you realize how important and how precious simple things are, like being able
little
to
things.
walk, those little
Yeah.
things, you know, and you
Yes.
don't realize it until they're taken away from you,
Yeah.
and then you find you're like, damn, dude, I
Then
really
you
love
hit depression big time, you know,
right,
because now
right,
you're just thinking of all the things you could have done and you can't do anymore, you know? So I ended up hitting that wall.
yeah,
And gracefully, I ended up meeting this guy on social media. His name's Jet Fuel. I can't tell you his real name because I would get murdered, but his name's Jet Fuel. If you want to look him up, he's still alive and still going. He's an incredible human being. But Jet Fuel ended up gifting me a mushroom chocolate.
Mm,
And for the longest time, ever since I've been a kid, I've always known that there's more to us, that we're not just born because of a miracle or whatnot. Yes, we are a miracle, but it's not just like a coincidence or anything
mhm,
like that, you know? And
mm.
I've always wanted to know more because that this thing is a computer, bro, but a computer with endless drive,
Right, right,
endless amounts of drive, you know? And I
right.
don't think people really understand that, but because I do, and I know there's more, I've always known that there's a way to tap into these things. I know that there's certain people in this world that can do it without taking anything.
Mhm,
And there's also people like me that have been hindered since birth that haven't been able to feel free. You
mhm,
know, like ever since I was a
mhm.
kid, I felt like I've had to take care of my mom, my little brother, myself. You know, I had to look out for the rest of the world before I look out for myself. That's why when I became an asshole, I couldn't even look at myself because that's not who I was, you
Yeah.
know? So me being able to see and feel all of these things when I crashed and burned, gracefully, I got gifted this chocolate. And I remember it took me about like a month before I got brave enough to actually say like,
Mhm.
oh, like let me try it, you know?
Yeah,
And it
right.
was like the perfect thing ever because I remember taking it in and I remember just going into this blissful world that I haven't. When I was a little kid, I used to go into this dream states and these dream worlds.
Mm,
And I haven't been there since I can tell you my mom was yelling at my stepdad. They were fighting and I had a big ear infection. And the last dream that I had of that was that I was falling off of a brick wall. And that's how it always come out of it. But that's the last time I can tell you that I did that.
mm,
And all I could think of is that was the last time because after that I was really mad. I was really upset that my mom was wanted to fight with my stepdad more than she wanted to take care of me, that she
mm,
wanted to
mhm,
feel anger and pain instead of wanting to take care of her child that she birthed, you know? Like I'm
mhm,
only I'm probably like 8, 9 years old, if I'm correct, if I remember, really recall right, you know? And that's all I remember is her wanting to fight and her I could see her wanting
right.
to fight more and more and more, like, you know, because I guess she thought it was my stepdad, it was my biological father, which was 6'3", 250. This is my
Sure.
stepdad is 5'8", fucking 150 maybe, you know, you get
Sure.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Well, it's hard to like for kids. I mean, you're 8 years old, and your parents are like these godlike figures that are supposed to have every answer, be omnipotent, take
protective,
care
you
of you,
know? Yeah.
protect you, all that stuff. And it's not until you get to be an adult, and maybe if you have kids yourself, you start realizing like, oh dude, our parents are just people. Like they're flawed, they have trauma, they have blind spots, shadows that they haven't dug into. And these flaws that we like view them out at some point, you're like, it's usually around like your teenage years or after. That's when you're really like rebelling against your parents. And then I think you get older and you start realizing you're like, I you're a victim too. Like, I actually feel sorry for you, you
Yes,
know?
you know, and that's what I tell my mom now. I was having just a conversation with her yesterday, and I tell her, I was like,
Mhm,
look, you can break the cycle. You don't have
mhm,
to continue to be an asshole. You don't
mhm,
have to continue to answer this way. And she's like, but your brother did this and that. I was like, so aren't you the adult? Aren't you the mom? Aren't you the teacher? Aren't you the one that's supposed to be able to take a deep breath and be like, listen, son, I know this is the way you think or what it is or whatnot, but let me just break it down to you. It's not this way. It should be this way, but it isn't this way. You know, instead of just yelling at us and thinking that that's gonna make it all better because you
mhm,
protected yourself, and that's all you needed. You know, instead of realizing that a lot of the reasons why we answer the way we do to our parents is because we already have traumas from what they've
mhm,
already hit us with,
mhm,
you know? So me going back to this chocolate day, I go into this world of bliss, bro. And I come out of it and I'm just happy and go lucky and whatnot. And I tell myself, I was like, no, 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 no. There's more to this. I was like, I need to figure out what's deep in this heart.
Mm,
Why I wanted to go in Afghanistan and fight. Why I
mhm.
felt like I wasn't worthy to be in this earth, you know? Why I was being so selfish. So I'm gonna tell you this much. I ended up taking 6 grams of mushrooms that I grew myself
Oh,
personally
wow.
because now he taught me. He's like, here, I want you to learn because what if you want to do this for the rest of your life? What is this going to help you if keep you from getting a disease like Parkinson's or any, I believe this thing. I
Oh,
truly
wow.
believe that microdosing in this way is going to keep you from getting to those points, you
Yeah.
know?
I,
And
I
I
think so
mean,
too, dude. Especially with the TBI stuff. Like,
all of
like
this, all
it's
of this, all
crazy
of
how
this,
much brain
all
stuff
of
has
this.
been healed. Yeah.
All of
Oh,
this,
for
all
real.
of this, and I'll prove it to you when I'm 120. You get me? Like, if you want to
Yes.
follow me now, you're more than welcome to follow with me, you know? But I'll prove it to you when I'm 120, you know? And
Yeah.
still moving, still surfing, still
Right.
dancing, you know? Stuff like that. But I knew there's more that I had to find out for myself because there's no way that I had these thoughts of killing myself, that I've had these depressional thoughts. So I ended up taking 6 grams. And I ended up going to when I was about in between 3.5 to 4 years old.
Mm,
I went into the house that I used to live at with my mom and my biological father. And I remember watching everything that happened because I apparently had closed this down in Pandora's box. I
mhm.
locked away the key and tossed it. And I'm on top of the wall watching my little self, and I'm sleeping with my mom. And my biological father comes into the house, slams open the bedroom door, and pulls the blankets off my mom and me. And the first thing I remember him saying is, "Who the fuck is this man you're sleeping with?" And he pointed at me. My father was drunk as fuck, and he thought that I was an actual man sleeping with my mother. He ended up grabbed me by the foot, and he ended up launching me. I ended up slamming up against the wall and falling onto the floor. He started raping my mother. I remember getting up and he was on the edge of the bed. His leg was on the edge of the bed. And I ran to him and went to go and bite his leg. He turned around and kicked me. And that was the first time and only time a human being has ever knocked me out. Because not even that 60-pound bomb has ever knocked me out. That was the one and only time. And when I came out of all of that, my wife was right next to me. And I just started bawling out. And I told her, I realized why I've been so mad this whole time. Why I've been upset since I was a fucking 4-year-old child was because I've never had the chance to protect my mother from this fucking animal, you know? And all this time I've been carrying this anger with me. And that is why I started doing psychedelics because I want to know why I'm so upset, because I want to dig deeper and find out more about myself. And guess what? After we did all of that, life has been blissful. My
Well,
shoulders have been able to sink down. I don't carry the weight on my shoulders anymore. I don't carry anything on my shoulders. I'm free as a bird
so let me ask you something. What what about revisiting that moment in that, psychedelic state helped you heal from the trauma? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did revisiting it and re-experiencing that like horrific moment that you had suppressed, what about that made it heal for you, to where it was no longer this burden on you?
because it showed me that it wasn't me that was the problem.
Mm,
That I was just
you're a victim.
a victim of the consequences that happened, you know?
Yeah, and how
I'm
could you be expected as a 4-year-old to protect your mother from a man, like
I
a
was just
giant?
collateral damage. You
Yeah,
know, that's
100%.
all I was. I was just
100%.
collateral damage. So for me, I was able to finally realize that, fuck, I've been on this earth to protect this world. So
Right.
me going to the military, me still
Yeah.
opening up my
Right.
big ass mouth for my friends that are in wheelchairs, for my friends that are scared to speak up. I'm, I'm gonna say it louder for the fucking people in the back, you know? I don't give a flying fuck. I'm
Right.
here as a mercenary to protect the ones that think that they are weak, not the ones that are weak, because there's no one weak in this world.
That's really
There is
beautiful.
no one weak in this world.
Right.
I am here to protect the ones that think they are weak, to show them how strong we truly are, to give them that power and spark that interest in their own courage, in that self-courageness. That's what I'm here for. To spark life, to give life back, to show how easy it is.
Right. No, that totally makes sense. And it also probably showed for you that, it probably helped you forgive your mom in a lot of ways as well, because you saw her that, she was being victimized and, protecting you and as best as she could
To
given
a,
the
so to a certain degree, because I tell
Yeah.
people this, we're not here to forgive our parents or whatnot. We're here to
Uh-huh.
have our own experiences.
Sure.
You
Totally.
know, like along
Totally.
the lines, like if you get upset at your mom or your dad for something they did, that's okay. Don't
Hmm.
drag it. You don't need to drag shit, you know? Like I
Yeah.
haven't talked to my mom for 3 months. She fucking finally called me yesterday. I answered because
Yeah.
she's my mother.
Totally. I
You
get that
get
with
you
my
get what
mom too, dude. For
you know,
100%. Like we
I have tough times with her, and I get
Yeah.
everybody does. A lot of my
Yeah.
wife has a tough time with her parents or whatnot. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we have hatred for her parents. It doesn't
Sure.
mean anything. It means we're giving ourselves that respect to give ourselves some time, some space, so we
Mm.
can understand a little bit better. So maybe
Mhm.
they could recognize that maybe they're the ones making the mistake, and we're tired of apologizing for their mistakes.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
once I realized why I was so upset, because I honestly I took the 6 grams, I was like, I'm gonna go back to Afghanistan. You know,
Uh-huh.
like I
Uh-huh.
thought that's where it was gonna take me because I thought that's where my trauma was.
Dude.
I
Oh,
I
no, so
never had trauma in Afghanistan. To be
right.
quite honest with you, I
Yep.
realized how beautiful the Afghan people really are. They would
Mm.
welcome me. They would feed, bro. I'd have tea. I'd never starved, my man, anytime because they thought I looked like them.
Yeah.
And guess
Yeah.
what? Everything for me is based off of vibration. I've never
Mhm.
lost my human card, even when I have a gun in my hand. I
Yeah.
know that if I make
Totally.
that mistake, then I'll
Totally.
hurt myself for the rest of my life. I know that. I
Yeah.
know these things. There's certain things in my lifetime that have been put in front of me that I had the ability to make that mistake. No one was there to see it, and I still chose to say no because
Mhm.
that's not right.
Yeah.
And that's how I've carried myself throughout my whole time. Whether I've been big headed, whether I've been an asshole, whether I've been selfish or whatnot, I've never
Mhm.
done something directly at a human to physically hurt them or see them go down. I will never ever do that
Right.
because guess what? Death be
You
coming
pay
back
for
around, baby.
it's karmic
You
karmic
know?
debt.
Yeah.
I just remember something when we first talked on the phone. You were telling me about how taking these big doses of mushrooms helped you physically. Like, was that correct? Could you
Yes.
talk a bit
Yes.
about
Yes. Yes.
that? Because that was
Yes.
really interesting, and I want the audience to hear it as well.
Definitely, because it's something we need to speak about. So
Yeah.
after I cleared my head, and this was maybe 3 years ago, maybe my body just hit a point where not enough cannabis was enough to help me out. I
Mm-hmm.
needed something else, and I don't know if it was the imbalance here that I was
Mm.
still trying to get together, or maybe my eating habits, because once I started taking psychedelics, my eating habits changed completely. I started eating more stuff that's alive. I started growing my own fruits and vegetables. I have my garden going right now, actually. I just
Wow.
started 3 days ago
Oh,
for my
sick.
onions, my carrots, my radishes, celery, yeah, all the stuff that's cold hardy right now. I'm already
Yeah,
kickstarting it because I need to make sure I'm good. I've
I love
also, as you can see, I hunt my own food.
Oh,
Like
yeah, sick, dude. No
so
way.
yeah,
I see it.
I love to take care of. I mean, think about it. This random ass human walks up to you, or rolls up to you and he goes, I hunt my own food. Check
Yeah.
this out, you know? And I have a family. I got a wife that I take care of, my brother, my sister, her family. Like everybody eats off of what I get to hunt for, you know? And every single piece of it gets taken because even the hooves don't get left. The hooves
Mm-hmm.
get brought for my dogs.
Mm,
So I'm
mm, yeah.
doing, my friends are Native Americans and they also taught me that you always give back. They would
Sure.
always, anytime they would harvest an animal, they would leave tobacco because that was their choice of happiness. So guess what I do? I leave
Mm.
cannabis because that's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
choice of happiness, you
yeah.
know? So,
No, I
uh,
love that, dude. I think like hunting and growing your own food, and it adds a whole new level of like reverence and respect for what the animal that you're eating, the nutrients you're consuming, you know,
life itself and
and
life
life.
itself. Yeah,
Right,
because
100%,
I
dude.
pay homage every single time. If it's a burger that I'm about to chow down and it's an elk burger, I
Yeah.
always recall seeing him and saying thank you for his
Mm,
last breath, you know? Just
mhm,
because
yeah.
it's giving me nutrients, it's giving
Right.
me a chance to keep going, you know? So I get to this day and my body's just all over the place. For the last 2 weeks, I can't get any type of relief.
Mm,
There's nothing, and I won't go back to Western medicine. I won't go back to having oxygen. I haven't touched. The last time I touched it was the last time I touched it, which was 9 years ago. You know,
bro,
that
I'll
was.
send you after this interview. I'll send you the interview that I did with this guy Kagan Gill. Um, the medications that they had him on, all like, bro, it is a horror story. I'm
Oh
not even
yeah,
kidding. Like, it's a
yeah,
fucking like MK Ultra like horror story, bro.
yeah.
So I
I
think
had
you are
Dilaudid.
wise.
Do you know what Dilaudid is?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
of
had
course.
Dilaudid available for me to do this to it, you know? And my proper choice, if I'm gonna be real with you, was the highest dose of Benadryl, which you can only get from a doctor's
Hmm,
certification. I had that highest dose and I would mix it with Dilaudid. My eyes would roll to the back of my head, pass
really?
out for 5 hours, never wake up. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how I would
Wow.
stay down on the bed for 6 months
Yeah.
without moving and shit like that.
It's
And
just like
everybody,
hitting fast forward, dude. Just
oh
fast
yeah,
forward.
yeah, yeah. Like let's get
Over
over
this.
there already, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I won't go back to the hospital. I won't
Yeah.
go ask a doctor for any type of medicine. I won't go ask for a shot, nothing like that. So in my head, and I've heard people say this and say, talk to the mushroom before you take it and ask it what you want it to do, you know?
Oh wow,
And
that's
I
a really
ended up,
nice piece. I've
yeah, because
thought about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know, because you're going with intention now.
yeah, it's
You,
intention.
you, you know, so
Right.
I looked at my big old ape and I'm like, I know you're gonna take me to a crazy world. I know I'm gonna see energy. I know I'm gonna see a bunch of stuff. I don't care if you take me through all of that. I need you to help me with my body. My
Mm,
pain is so intense, I can't take it anymore, you
mm,
know? And I take it. My wife's on the phone for like the last 30 minutes, and it's about 45 minutes now. And I'm like, okay, hey, baby. As you get off the phone, this is too intense for me now. It's too much chattering.
mm.
You know, it's too much energy that I can hear and
Yeah.
feel, you know, and I just need you to sit right next to me because I'm about to go through it. And she goes, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know, but we're about to figure it out, you know? And I start taking these deep breaths. So I've been actually
Mm,
taught how to breathe. One of my buddies is actually got taught by Ramadas. Baba
yeah,
Ramadas? Yeah.
yeah, dude.
And
Ron,
then, yeah, and he taught me how to breathe properly.
oh, cool.
Yeah, so I know how to take certain breaths to do certain things,
Mm,
release, to center, to energy. You know, I know how to do many different breathing techniques. And on this time, I just wanted to center myself fully. And I started taking these deep breaths through my nose and letting them out through my mouth. And eventually, I was just doing them through my nose the whole time.
mm,
And it started getting to the point where the breath that I was taking was opening up so much that my bones were starting to pop.
mm.
And my wife started freaking out because the sound got so intense that she
Wow.
thought that I was snapping. She thought I snapped my hip out of place.
Hmm.
That's how intense it was like, and
Wow.
I'm talking about bah, 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 bah.
Uh,
Bah, 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 bah. Like it was like if I was being fully stretched out, like if someone was just grabbing ropes from all different angles and just unleashing all this energy. And I remember coming for like a good hour, just breathing and breathing, and I could remember going through these different worlds and like
Oh yeah.
laughing and oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And they just kept telling me, just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. I'm like, all right, I could do that. I could say less, you know?
Good advice.
Yeah. And I remember coming out of it and my wife was ready with the keys and everything and she's like, we need to go to the hospital. I'm
Uh,
like, she was like, why? She was like, you're not gonna be able to get up right now. And I just get up like nothing. I'm like, what are you
huh.
talking about? Like, you know? And she goes, what? She goes, there's no way, Jose. She's like, I swear it sounded
No
like
way,
you
Jose.
broke the, yeah. She's like, it sounded like you broke your back. It sounded like you snapped your hip out.
Yeah.
Like she said, even your knee was snapping. And I'm
Huh.
like, what? Like, that never
Do you know
happened.
what it was? Did you figure out what any of that like snapping was? Was it just kind of like
I,
CO2 in your joints or something like that? Or
I think all of this energy from years and years of stacking my body, putting it under pressure,
yeah.
and never letting it go here. I
Uh-huh.
think that day, because of how
Sure.
high the dose was, yeah, it just I felt free.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe it, I felt like I wasn't in my body.
It
Like
was like a release. You released
yes,
a bunch of
definitely.
something from your physical body.
Absolutely, And this
Yeah.
is one thing I will say. Even though I am not whole or I might not seem whole here,
Right.
I know here I am whole. And
Yeah.
when I'm in my trips or when I'm in my dream states, I'm
Yeah.
always whole.
Oh wow.
Even in my wife's dream states, I'm always have my legs. I always have, so always understand that
Yeah.
we are whole no matter
Right.
what. Like,
Right.
doesn't
Well,
matter if you're
that's
missing a limb, doesn't matter any of that. Because there's stories, there's Asian storytelling and all of that if you're not whole, you're gonna come back as a ghost looking for your
uh
body, like
sure,
don't
sure, right,
listen to
right,
dumb
right.
shit. The
No,
Vikings have the
I
same
believe that.
thing. If you don't die with your sword, you come back because you're looking for it. Like, no, 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 no,
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. No, I believe in the like the mind body spirit connection is like such an important aspect to realize that these three elements of your personhood so you are more than just your body, you're more than just your thoughts, and you have this connection to source, the divine God, and recognizing that all those three things are aspects of you, that you can lose limbs and realize that you're not actually incomplete because you are more than just your physical body.
absolutely. At any time you need to understand that if you think it and you breathe it in, every morning, I'm limitless because
Hmm.
I am. I'm energy because I am, you know, I'm incredible. We need to start doing these things on a
Yeah.
constant basis because if not, we're gonna forget. Or when the time comes of you feeling a little depressed or a little anxious, how are you
Right.
gonna pull yourself out of it?
Dude,
Remember, if you continue to be grateful, you'll be
I
fine.
just heard this thing. It was on another podcast I think I was listening to. But have you seen the documentary about the Blue Angels on Amazon Prime?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Highly recommend it, bro. It's
Okay,
incredible.
gonna
Like
go
it
on
fucking
tonight then.
goosebumps. Yeah, yeah. No, dude, it's so good. But what's really interesting is visualization is incredibly important at the highest levels. Olympic athletes, elite units, and in this documentary you see the Blue Angels, they do what's called chair flying before they fly their thing. So they're in just like a boardroom, they're sitting there, and their eyes closed, and they are going through the motions, like pretending that they're doing, just completely visualizing the whole thing. So what this guy on the podcast I was talking about, is he's referencing that, and he was saying that we're always visualizing, but most of us, most of the time, are visualizing, oh man, I got that meeting tomorrow, I'm gonna fuck it up.
Disaster.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? And so you are
Absolutely.
visualizing and then manifesting these worst case
Yeah. Yes,
scenarios when you
absolutely.
could just be we're already doing it, so let's just I'm limitless, I'm incredible, I am that, instead of like a tough cuz Monday, oh my god, I'm in
Exactly.
pain, this sucks, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody. I was like, a lot of people come up to me while I'm at the gym. They're like, "What makes you tick? What makes you go?" I'm like, "I'm still alive." Well, I know it's okay for you guys if you would see me deteriorate on the couch, being the biggest, giantest couch potato ever. You guys will be okay, and you guys will always say he's okay because he's missing limbs. Guess what? I got a fucking standard for myself. That shit is not okay. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
whether you're in a wheelchair or not. Like, we're gonna
Right.
either work this motherfucker out or we're gonna
Hmm.
work this motherfucker out, you know?
Hmm.
But either one needs to be moving, you know,
Yeah.
because we're greater than what we truly think or believe we are. So the minute we believe we are that much greater, everything is limitless, brother.
Right,
Everything
right.
is limitless, you know? The fact that I only took psychedelics to help me get to this point again. And I
Hmm.
say again because when I was 15 all the way to 18, 19, 20, I've been this person. I've been this confident. I've been this human because I grew up in the ghetto, because I've had no choice but to
Yeah.
be the best. Because everything else is unrelatable. I don't want to be mediocre. What the
Yeah.
fuck? Like, why do
Right.
you're telling me I'm this incredible experience, I'm this incredible thing, and I just choose to be mediocre? Like,
Yeah.
nah. We're gonna
Right.
see how far we can make it in this world, you
Which,
know?
dude,
Like,
I almost forgot to even talk about this, but I would love to, tell me about your surfing. Speaking of being incredible, being the best, dude. So, how did you get into surfing? And brag a little, dude. You
okay.
you you earned it.
So, surfing happened because of actual the Naval Medical Center. They actually use it for therapy. It
That's how
was
I
at
got into it too.
Yeah, it got granted as one of the greatest. It got given an award actually
Did it really?
2 years ago or 3 years ago, if I'm correct, because people
No
were
way,
starting to
dude.
see how magical the water
It's
truly is.
changed my
It
life. Like
it
it
it,
gave my life back, dude.
it allows you to sit still and sit with your thoughts. It allows you to be present, and at the same time, it re-energizes you because every
Mm-hmm.
single time you get out of the water, you want to go right back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's teaching you these things without you really comprehending it until
Sure.
you get to a point where disaster happens and then you take that deep breath, like just right before you're about to catch that wave, you know? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gracefully, this amazing lady named Betty,
Love
um,
Betty. Shout out Betty.
she
She's the
ended up
best.
meeting me in 2012, and I had a colostomy bag at the time. And she told me, she goes, "Hey, why don't we take you out swimming? It would be really good for your core and it would get you like up and walking easier, you know?"
Mm-hmm.
And I lied to her and I'm like, "Man, whenever I get this reversal done, I'll do it because I don't want to have a mishap in the pool, you know?" And she didn't know that I got told that there was a 95% chance that I would never be able to reverse my colostomy bag, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But I hit rock bottom and I ended up fucking going up to the doctors and went up to them like, "Hey, how do I get this thing reversed?" They're like, "I don't think that's gonna happen." I was like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna go and kill myself tomorrow." And they're like, "Wait, what? You can't tell me that." I was like, "Ah, I stepped on a bomb. I can tell you whatever the fuck I want. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what are you gonna do? Take my pay? I don't even need it right now, you know?"
Right.
So they're like, "Wait, hold on, Jose. Like, all right, let's see what we can do." So they scheduled testing. I was like, "If you schedule something, then I'll stay alive until then." And they're like, "All right." So they scheduled something in, and they ended up giving me an enema, and I ended up showing them that my ass works. Like everything's
Mm-hmm.
still working and stuff like that, you
Uh-huh.
know? They ended up doing the reversal, but the reversal went bad.
Uh,
I couldn't eat for 3 months. My wife was giving me water and food through a pick line. Yeah, it was a very, very tough time. And the minute I came out of it, Betty was there the next day at physical therapy saying, "Hey, Jose, didn't you say you were gonna come and swim with me?" And I'm like,
oh, she's an
"Oh
angel, dude.
man!" And
She's an
the only
angel.
thing I have in this life, and I tell people, the only thing you truly have is your word. Your word is your bond. Your word is everything, and that's the
Right.
only thing you truly, really have in this world, you know?
Totally.
So
Totally.
I told Betty, I was like, "You know what? Like, I'll see you there tomorrow. What time?" And she goes, 5 a.m. I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
Like,
Jesus.
5
Yeah, come on, Betty.
a.m.?
Come
Come
on, Betty.
on,
Don't do
we're
me like that.
recovering, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, 5 a.m., I'll see you there. I was like, oh, God, okay. Got there. I jumped in the pool and I'm like, all right, I got this. I'm gonna fucking smoke the shit out of this 50 meter. It took me 2 hours to get through 50 meters.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so pissed. I was like, I could crawl faster than this. Got
Uh,
back, went back the next day, and then the next day, and then the next
mhm.
day, and eventually I started swimming half a mile,
Mm,
and I just kept at it. And I had a swim coach that Betty had introduced me with at the time that was at the Naval Medical Center as well. He was coming down. And he told Betty, like, hey, Jose got really good. Like, you should check him out. And instead of checking me out, Betty comes and she goes, hey, you want to learn how to surf now? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, man. I was like, you know what I look like if you put a wetsuit on me, Betty. I was like, I look like a wounded seal. And she starts cracking up. She goes, there's a bunch of other people there. And then sharks gonna mess with you. I start laughing. I'm
it's
like,
only a little sharky over
yeah,
in Del Mar.
And she's all like, next Thursday, we're starting the new classes. Come with us. And I was just so nervous and scared because when I was recovering, they would take people out to go watch games and stuff like that, but they would never take me out because I was too fucked up, because my wheelchair was too big, because they couldn't get me to these stadiums or whatnot.
Hmm.
So it kind of just scared me for anybody wanting to help me out.
Hmm.
And I ended up going with them, and the best part was there was a bunch of military guys. So I was like,
Hmm.
fuck it. Like it's
Yeah,
some of the
right.
guys that I'm recovering with, some of the guys that I'm talking to anyways. Ended up going. I fucking ended up meeting Darren Klassen, which is, remember I told you about my papa? That's
Yeah.
my papa. Darren was the first person. Darren and Amanda were the first people to ever push me onto a wave, and it was probably whitewashed, and I'll never forget it. I felt free. I
Mm,
felt alive. I felt everything that I feel when I'm coming off of psychedelics. That wholeness, that oneness, that love, that energy, just feeling free. I got to feel all of that without having to take anything. And the best part about it is I was out in the sun enjoying it, you know. And then I hit rock bottom like I told you about 7 years ago or whatnot. And because I live so far, I didn't continue to surf.
mm,
And instead of me driving a gun, going to drink, I called Betty. I'm like, hey, Betty, you guys still surfing? She was like, yeah,
mm.
every Thursday, you already know where to come, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up going down there that next Thursday. And that Thursday, she was like, hey, do you know there's other guys like you that are competing? I'm like, what? No way. There's no way that there's broke people like me trying to compete. There's no way. I thought I was the only crazy
No
guy
way,
that was.
Jose.
Yeah, I thought I was the only crazy guy trying to figure out how fucking dumb I really could take this body to.
Right, right, right.
And she's all like, no, dude, like there's a competition going on in Oceanside and it's coming up. Like, let's sign you up. I ended up signing up for it. I ended up snapping two boards, and I remember not making the podium. I remember crying, and I remember like telling myself like, what the fuck, dude? I'm a natural athlete.
Yeah,
I thought that showing up was gonna be enough for me, and
yeah.
that instantly showed me like, if you want
Come
something
on,
again,
but
you
yeah,
gotta you
yeah.
gotta work hard all over it again,
Right, right. But you
So
have a goal. It seems like
y-
from everything that I have learned about you is that, you seem to, when you can set your sights on something and work towards that thing, that's when Jose the machine
is
kind of kicks
unstoppable.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's where the
totally.
breathing starts because I gotta
Right.
remind myself every morning why I'm doing it. Sometimes I
Yeah.
get too stuck on the end that I
Hmm.
forget. Like, dude,
The
smile,
journey.
fucker. Enjoy the
Yeah, yeah,
process
right.
through it, because
Right, right,
this is gonna make you smile at the end. And
right.
eventually, I started competing more and more. Started winning one contest, won the second one. Eventually
Wow.
started going up through the rankings, and right now I'm top 4 out of 34. So I became number one in the world in 2021. I'm actually number one in the world for the AASP tour, which goes to Australia, Hawaii, Costa Rica, and ends up here in Oceanside. I've won that 2 years in a row. back to back, and
Wow.
I'm just gonna continue to hopefully ride the best waves ever to where I can just show up anywhere, and if it's one of the greatest surfers, he'll be like, "Hey, Jose, you got the next one
Yeah.
after me,"
Oh, dude.
instead of hearing, "What the fuck are you doing out here?"
Yeah. And what's crazy, dude, is find me a pill that will do that for you.
I'll never be able
Find
to
me a
find one.
surgery, or like, and not again, I'm a medic, or I was a medic, and I have a lot of respect for Western medicine,
I
and
wouldn't be alive,
whatever. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
100%, dude, 100%.
Yeah.
But you go to like Naval Medical Center, big beautiful hospital, state of the art stuff, and the recreational therapy clinic is like a tiny little office kind of in that back building,
Oh,
and
little room.
little
Yeah.
room, you know what I mean? And like, I get it, it's not like they need a lot of equipment to do their job necessarily, so it makes sense, but it kind of shows the priorities, you know what I mean? The hospital, the naval medicine is focused on 99% of what they're doing is this other stuff. It's all these other interventions, and 2% of it is like, yeah, sure, go kayak, I guess, if that'll keep you from killing yourself. And at the end of the day, it's that has been giving people their lives back. Um yeah, just to finish wrap up what I was saying was just that, like, you know what I mean? It's like they throw you like a little bone here, and they focus so much on all this other shit, and it's like, in my experience, and dude, I've spoken to so many people, it's been that, that 2% of their budget
Yeah.
is what really changes people's lives, you
If it
know?
wasn't for us working out together at physical therapy, if it wasn't for the physical therapists that they had, Holly, Kim,
Yeah.
Miss Alma, like all of these people that, dude, I cussed out the first time I met Holly and Kim. They got cussed out of my room. I was yelling so bad that they were just like, "Oh fuck, like we should get out of here," type thing. But they came back the next day and they're like, "Hey,
Right,
Jose, we
right.
just want to show you that we got love for you, that and Kim told me that her husband's a military dude. And
Mm,
Holly's all like, dude, this is you're my first amputee. Like, I just want to help
mm,
you out. She's the
mm-hmm,
one that got me walking.
mm.
So like you said, if they would focus more on that 2%, it would be way
Change
better.
people's lives, dude.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and another thing that I wanted to say about surf therapy when I was doing that is like, dude, I was going through a lot of the same emotional stuff when after my injury, and I have all my limbs, all my fingers, all my toes. I don't have any TBIs, but I was losing my job, I was losing my identity, I was losing my reputation, I was losing my career. I was, I just, all I was focusing on was all these things that I was losing, right? And so I'm going out there doing this surf therapy, and like, I'm stoked to do it, but I'm getting out. It's something to occupy the day, and I'm looking to my left and right, and I'm seeing guys with the amputees, paraplegic, and I'm like, what the fuck am I bitching about? What am I feeling sorry for myself for? These like there are people that are in worse shape than me, and they show up and they get it done, and you know what I mean, and they find reason to keep going and keep growing. So
But let
it's
me give
really
you one
inspiring.
better.
Yeah,
Let me give you one better, and for everybody that's a veteran here, or for everybody that's lost somebody, do it for the person that's not here to able to do it anymore. That's the one thing I will always tell you. I've lost a lot of my boys. My boy my FTO that I used to take care of, that I
yeah.
got really close to, he ended up getting killed a month after I got hurt because I wasn't there to take care of him. You get me? Every single time I'm doing some outrageous shit, I always look up and I say, Nick, this one's for you, buddy. You
Hell yeah.
get me? Because
Oh,
that's like, fuck, dude. Like, if I'm able to do it and they can't,
yeah.
I know that they can jump into my body and feel it for a little bit,
Right, right.
go on that ride, go kayaking, catch the biggest wave you've ever caught, an 18 footer, like my dumbass being out in Santa Cruz. Like, oh yeah, we go out in the lane, bro. That's what we surf
Oh my
at.
god, dude.
Yeah, I got my big wave fucking
I
surf. That's
love
why
that,
that's
dude.
why I work out so much, is because I'm always
Yeah,
ready
got
for
it.
what I want to do.
Right, right.
Like when I got hit and I stepped on the bomb, when I woke up, the doctor said the only reason you're alive is because of the physical shape that I've heard people talk about you.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
I've heard that you used to ruck like crazy. I heard you used to run like a motherfucker. I've heard
yeah,
you were an animal. I'm
right.
like, yeah, sir, I'm still here.
Yeah,
So that's the one thing. If I'm gonna leave a message
I,
to
I love
everybody
that.
that's struggling, that's having a hard time, if you can't do it for you, do it for that person that's not here able to physically feel it, physically taste it. Have that cake for that
Yeah,
person, you know?
no,
Like,
totally.
don't feel bad about it, man. Like,
Right,
dude, let's say if you're 20 pounds overweight, if you're 100 pounds overweight, you don't have to punish yourself so
right,
you can become better. You just have
right,
to start being better as of now.
right.
That's what I want to tell people. Like, yeah, as long as you start, you can be the human that you choose to be. Like by the time you choose to die, by the time that you're on your deathbed, you're gonna look back and be like, hell yeah, I
Yeah.
did it. You know?
Well, there's a couple things that made me think of was, that it's a gift, man. Like the ability to be here and experience life and experience love. And, I think that we're some sort of like fractal of the Godhead that can experience itself,
We're
and
very
that's what we're
lucky.
here to
Yes.
do. We're very lucky.
Yeah.
And you're exactly where you are supposed to be. And the challenges that are in your life right now are the exact
You,
challenges that you fucking chose
yeah.
before manifested in this life. And it's because you have a lesson there to learn that your soul has to work through so that you can, elevate and get closer to source in the next carnation or whatever. I don't know. Everyone has different beliefs, but
Oh,
like, yeah, that's what I
you're
believe.
right though, because
Yeah.
I say this and I will continue to say this, and it hurts my friends when I say this, mainly my brothers, but that bomb was meant for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That bomb was
Yeah.
meant for
I
me.
think so too, man.
You
I
know,
think so
I
too.
I
Right.
chose this life, I chose
Yep.
this body, and I knew to a certain degree that that was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I'm still here trying to show the rest of the world how to smile,
Yeah.
how to continue to live, like that to me shows me that that is really the person that I've always wanted to become, that I am becoming my own hero, that I
Right.
am becoming the person that I always known, that I've always fought for, that I've always grabbed that little dude's hand
Hmm.
deep down inside and be like, yo, bro, I got you.
Yeah.
It might not feel like it right now. And I tell people, I was like, always look back to when you were a kid. When you were looking up, you weren't looking up at the sky.
Mm.
You weren't looking up at the sun. You weren't talking to God. You were talking to that older you that's able to fucking jump back and forth
Mm-hmm.
and see
Mm-hmm.
that person. That's what you were talking. You were
Yeah.
talking to the older you and telling him, please don't fucking let me go.
Mm-hmm.
Please, you're the only thing I have. Because truly, at the end of the day, we are the only thing we truly have is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we might be
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship, we might be in love or whatnot, but those relationships cannot happen if we truly don't love ourselves, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
And that's truly what it is. We're here to have an experience, and everybody just has to experience it. That's it.
That's such a good message, Jose. Dude, this has been amazing. I was such an awesome conversation. You're an inspiration, dude. I'm so happy that you're an advocate for surfing and psychedelics and just fucking believing that you can, that the fight starts up here in the mind, and that you can manifest the life that you want to live. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, and how to stay in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I run my own social media page. It's Roll with Guru, ROLLWITHGURU. It's called Roll with Guru is because you're rolling with me to find your own guru.
Love
That's
that.
what you're doing. I'm not here to be your guru. I can't be your swami. I can't be your guide because I'm trying to figure it out myself,
Yeah, right,
know?
right,
And
right,
all
right.
and all I can tell you is if we follow these guidelines and if we go through these footsteps and we do our best, everything will be okay. And if you want to reach out to me, I read my own messages. If no one's managing any of it, like this is all me. So you can reach out. If I respond, it's because I want to help out. And if I don't, if probably because I'm a little busy. So you wait another week and I'll respond back. So just anybody's more than welcome to send me messages. Anybody's more than welcome to follow along. And more than anything, I just hope that you guys start being your own bright light in your own world to spark those rest of those friends that need the extra light, you know?
I love that. Jose, this has been amazing, dude. Thank you so much. Once again, this is the Mind Body Mushroom brought to you by Wind and Sea Coffee, the world's best adaptogen infused coffee products. We got functional mushrooms, CBD infused. I'm going to be sending you some stuff, Jose. So just stick around once we stop recording. But everybody else, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Hell yeah.